Meet Tony Horton, inventor and creator of P90X, the world's best-selling fitness program. So Tony, thank you very much for the interview. Can you describe your passion?
My passion is to help other people find theirs. I would say in a nutshell, that's pretty much it. And I use fitness and food as a means to get there. And if you can make better choices when it comes to your diet and find a routine that you can do 5 to 7 days a week without getting injured, then you're going to change your outlook about your life. And I honestly believe that that is the foundation to true success and happiness. Because a body that does not exercise and a body that is consuming processed foods and fatty foods and sugary foods and foods filled with chemical is a body that is negatively affecting the brain's ability to be able to help solve simple questions, simple problems in your life. And so if you follow my routine, I've written a book called The Big Picture, 11 Laws That'll Change Your Life. And it's not an exercise and diet book as much as it is a book to help you make better decisions. Because it's all about choices. And some choices are difficult. And typically the difficult choices are the ones that are going to improve your life. And the easy and simple choices and decisions you make quite often don't have a whole lot of impact on what you want to be and where you want to go and what you want to do. And so there's the person that you are and the person that you want to be. And I think everybody has that to some degree. And as you move through life and are willing to take some risks and confront your fears and make difficult choices, then your life is filled with more adventure, more success, more happiness, more love, better financial situation. And that's what I do. And I do it with what I feel is really the foundation, which is a better diet and a regular exercise. And then it opens you up to other opportunities, because you're not in just survival mode anymore. You're in thrive mode. And a good diet and regular exercise automatically puts you in thrive mode because it changes your brain chemistry. It changes the way you look at the world. Instead of short-term fixes like drugs and alcohol and garbage food and just being lazy, when you make the more difficult choice, even if it's a 10-minute workout and eating healthier breakfasts to start, then you're opening up more windows. And so that's basically what my passion is to be able to help people understand that, believe in that, and do that.
Mm-hmm. I see. So it's also like a lot about creating a mindset, right? That they basically make better decisions that are then also sustainable and not only like exercises and it's like a whole package basically, right?
Correct. No, it is a whole package, and things need to be consistent. I think there are too many people who are starting and stopping and then restarting again and then stopping again, and so they go through through this health and wellness bipolar disorder situation, and that's very frustrating. And it's really about being consistent. If you're gonna stop eating a particular kind of food because you know it's bad for you, well then you're going to have a much greater advantage over others if you're just eliminating that food permanently. Mm-hmm. Some people can do things in moderation. Others need to just cut things out completely. And you have to understand which one of those two things you are. For me personally, for example, I've tried to cut out most of the sugar and the processed carbs that I can. And before I was eating them in moderation, and it just was not working for me. So I don't have chocolate chip cookies and pie and cupcakes anymore, when I would have them occasionally thinking it was okay. But that sugar creates inflammation, and that inflammation feeds cancer cells and all the negative things that go with it. So it took me about a month to be able to just cut it all out. It was a very difficult process. I thought to myself, man, this is what people must feel like when they're trying to get off of drugs or alcohol. I had withdrawals, I had weird skin, I had real mood swings, I had difficult sleeping. But now I'm coming out the other side. I think that happens to anybody when there's a little bit of deprivation that goes on from being disciplined with your diet. And I haven't drank in 20 years. I haven't smoked a cigarette ever. I never drank coffee. So, a lot of people would think that's pretty extreme and that life's too short. You get to enjoy those types of things. But I want to perform on the highest level. And so to be able to perform on the highest level, you have to eliminate certain things. And I find that salmon tastes very good, and chicken and broccoli and asparagus and fruit. I can live on that very fine and not quite a bit. I don't feel deprived. So that's just this is my path at this time, and I don't think that everybody else is going to do that, but it certainly helped me.
Okay, understood. And what motivates you to get up like every day or to stay that consistent? What is your motivation? Why are you doing that?
I don't want to age in the traditional way. I saw what happened to my parents. Both my parents have passed away. One died. My mom died at 76. I believe my father died at 80, and they just couldn't physically do things anymore. They had all those aches and pains, and they were surviving based on what their pharmacist was providing them. And I just don't want that big tray of pills to keep me going. I don't need to do that. And I'm 57. I just turned 57. So my goal is to feel as good as I did when I was 27. And oddly enough, based on my behavior, I do. I mean, I certainly look older. There's nothing I can do about that. I mean, I can go see the plastic surgeon, but I'm not there yet. But on the inside, I mean, I go to a track workout and run with these kids. And can you hold 1 second? My assistant isn't here, so somebody at my door. Do you mind 1 second?
Sure.
I'm so sorry. My apologies. Finish up. Regular exercise and a good diet is the fountain of youth. If you're going to think you're going to find it in a pill, a potion, or something, it's not going to happen. I try to look for sources inside of myself, my work ethic, my discipline, my diet as a means to stay as young and as active as I can, as opposed to trying to find sources outside of myself via my pharmacist or some weight loss diet or something else, So it's rare. It's rare that, that people can do that. But the few of us that have made those choices ultimately have a much greater sense of adventure and energy and enthusiasm for life than people who are just surviving.
Understood. Okay, and maybe like to look also a little bit into your life. How does your weekly, daily routine look like? Where do you live, and how does your lifestyle look like?
Well, I live in Los Angeles. I live on the west side in Santa Monica. The air is much cleaner, and over here temperatures aren't as drastic. I picked this area because I'm near the beach. There's a lot of places to run and to exercise. I mean, I have a gym in my backyard. I have a separate building that's a gym, and I've constructed that gym the way I want it. I've got 3 different kinds of pull-up bars. I've got plyometric boxes. I have BOSU balls, and I have dumbbells from 3 to 90 pounds. I've got a lat pull machine. I've got a stationary bike, a treadmill, a VersaClimber, a ski machine, a rowing machine, an area to jump rope. So I've given myself enough space and equipment and variety so that I don't get bored, injured, or plateau when it comes to my fitness. My average week is Monday nights, which was last night, was an hour-long plyometric routine. And I do that with anywhere from 3 to 15 people. We had a full house last night. This morning, I did shoulders and arms, a lot of handstands, a lot of dips, bicep curls, I use stability balls, or a lot of people call them Swiss balls, for balance and core and proprioceptive fitness. I try to do the kinds of exercises that require as much full body muscle recruitment as possible. I don't do a lot of stagnant stuff where I'm just sitting and working. Like, people sit down and do one arm bicep curls. I just think that's silly. So I'm doing exercises that require a lot of skill and balance, because that's what keeps me young. And then Wednesdays are typically a day where I'll get on the treadmill and the bike and the VersaClimber and jump rope, and get on my ski machine and my rowing machine, and I'll do cycles, 3 to 5 minute cycles. That way I don't get bored. I couldn't get on a treadmill for 45 minutes if you paid me. But when I get on each one of those machines separately, 3 to 5 minutes, it just keeps me more interested. There's more muscle recruitment. Heart rate still stays up, but I'm training a lot of things as opposed to one thing. And then Thursday is chest and back, a lot of pull-ups, a lot of push-ups, my favorite day. I like that day a lot. And then Friday is a routine called boxes and balls. So I do a lot of core work on Swiss balls. I'm in plank on Swiss balls. I do a lot of plyo boxes. On Monday, it's just using the surface of the earth to do jumping. But on Friday, I'm actually jumping on boxes, anywhere from a 1 foot box to a 3 foot box, laterally. And then Saturday's yoga. It's always yoga. I usually either do it in the morning or do it in the afternoon, depending on my schedule that day. And then on Sunday, I go to the track at UCLA and I run 100s, 200s, 400s, sometimes 800s, and I just run for 2 hours. Do a lot of prep and warm up for that because your body needs to. And if I don't do that on Sundays, I'll go in my backyard and I do a sort of an adult gymnastics routine. We do a lot of handstand push-ups, and we have a pegboard, and we have a high bar. We do muscle ups and pullovers, and I have a 16-foot rope, and we'll climb the rope upside down, legs out in an L. That's sometimes sort of a 2.5 hour extravaganza, and that's my routine.
Nice.
I would always make sure I have plenty of healthy food in the house, a lot of real, natural, whole foods, organic foods, no processed foods, no desserts, none of that. A lot of vegetables, a lot of salads. Some meals are vegan, some are paleo, some are Mexican, some are Italian, some are French, some are Indian, some are sushi. I just make sure that I look down at my plate, I see food I recognize and that I can pronounce, and then I just eat that in abundance. That's my routine typically in a week.
Okay, great. And how did you get started? How did you decide on doing personal training and what led to that thing that you just described?
Pure accident. Never my intention. I was a terrible athlete. I had no endurance, no strength, very limited hand-eye coordination. But I moved from the East Coast of the United States to California, and the lifestyle here really drew me in. Everybody was playing volleyball and softball and basketball, and there were gyms on every corner. There were aerobic gyms and bodybuilding gyms, and they were all very social. So I was new. I didn't have a whole lot of friends. So the club scene was, one way to do it, but I really enjoyed meeting people that were exercising, and I just got very lucky. I ended up surrounding myself with some pretty interesting people, and after a couple of years, I was a member of 4 different gyms. So if one was aerobics classes, I would go to that gym. If I wanted to hang out with my bodybuilding buddies, I would go to that one. If I just wanted to go to sort of a general all-around club, I would go to the third one, and so I had 4 different circles of friends that were members at all these different gyms, and so I was exposing myself to as much as possible. And it was a slow process. I didn't really do much with the food right away. I wasn't really conscious of how to eat and what to eat. I just ate burgers and pizza and hot dogs, and I would go to McDonald's for a Big McMuffin in the morning, and I'd have my 6-pack of beer on the weekends. And so I was doing 2 contrary things. I was exercising but not taking care of myself nutritionally. And that changed after a while. I kind of cut out the booze after a while, and I cut out, a lot of the junk, and now I'm super strict, and But that's kind of how things started. And then I was not a trainer. I was just going to the gym. And then I just started training my boss. I was working at 20th Century Fox, and my boss was a movie producer. And he noticed a change in me, and he said, "Hey, you're looking great." And so I started training him in my buddy's garage. I didn't have the ability to train somebody in a gym because the gyms wouldn't like private trainers to come from the outside and train their friends. So I went to my buddy's garage. He had some basic stuff, and then that movie producer introduced me to Tom Petty, the rock and roller Tom Petty, and I got Tom ready for this tour, and he looked great. And then no one had ever seen Tom look so good and be so healthy. And then my phone ran off the hook, and all of a sudden I was training Tom Petty and Billy Idol and Stephen Stills from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics, Sean Connery, Shirley MacLaine, Ewan McGregor, and then I had this sort of celebrity client list. But at the same time, I was also trying to be an actor, not very successful, but I was trying. But I was learning how to read a teleprompter, and I was learning how to audition, and I was learning how to do acting. I was learning how to be very comfortable in front of a camera or on stage doing a play or something. And so at one point when I was asked to do a commercial for a fitness product in Minneapolis, I was able to do both. I was able to be sort of entertaining and also discuss and talk about the fitness equipment as an authority, and that was unique. And then before you knew it, I was working for Beachbody, and one product turned into another, and P90X became the biggest selling fitness program in history. And I would have never thought that would have happened, but it did. And here I am today. 17 years later, we're still with Beachbody, developing more programs, and we're in the middle of developing another one now.
Yeah, no, I subscribe for the Beachbody on demand. I don't know if that's like your latest, but that's very interesting. Like, how do you decide now do it like on demand, and then also like, how do you think personal training and fitness will look like? Fitness training will look like in 10, 20, 50 years from now. How do you think that will change?
I don't know. I mean, I think there'll still be one-on-one trainers. I think people will still want that. I think certainly actually, having to call an 800 number to order DVDs to stick in a machine to play, that's going away very quickly. Everything will be on demand. Everybody's TV is going to turn into the computer. I mean, a lot of people already have that sort of situation now. Television will be a place where you just download things and watch it instantly. You can just, that's going to be popular. But I think gyms will still be popular because it's such a social thing. But we have revolutionized in-home training. More and more people are exercising in front of their television or their phone or their laptop or their tablet than ever. And I think that will continue to grow because it's portable and it's convenient and it's instant. But people will still want personal trainers, and people will still want gym memberships. I don't think that'll go away. But group fitness is still popular. People still want to do that. And I think a lot of the traditional things will still be around, but there'll be new and more interesting and exciting ways. We'll be working out the holographs of ourselves soon too. I think that's probably coming.
Yeah. That would be also like my next question. Like, what are your other plans, or like, what are your plans now for the future, and where you want to focus on in kind of like participating in what the future will bring?
Well, I'm a big believer in self development. So I think I'm already moving in that direction. I do about a dozen seminars around the world for people that are based in food and fitness, but ultimately on understanding how those two things are the foundation to becoming the human being that you want to be, being a more altruistic human being, being a happier human being, being a more productive human being, then being more adventurous as well, and sort of confronting fears. I mean, I think that's, so many people aren't as far along as they need to be because they're struggling too much, just plainly with finding a workout program and a diet plan that works for them. And so helping people lock those two things in so they begin to expand their life and their experiences. That's what I want to do. I'm building a course now to help trainers basically do what I do, becoming, getting their electronic press kits in order, getting their YouTube channels up online, creating a website that's fun and interactive. A lot of trainers don't have those things in place. Helping people teach their clients to modify, teaching trainers how to cue better, how to help people. Because quite often I'll take a class and I'll be in a class with somebody who's supposed to be great, and they're telling me to do something, but they're not telling me how to do it. They're just saying to do it. Like, hey, Tony, you need to straighten your leg more. Well, that's nice. I'm wrapped up in a ball here, and you want me to do something that's physically impossible for me. What is another version of that? And teaching trainers how to be better trainers, teaching coaches and mentors how to explain things better to their clients, so their clients aren't frustrated, they're enthusiastic. And so too many people are frustrated and quitting because their mentors, teachers, and coaches and trainers aren't very good at explaining things better. That's really what I enjoy doing. Plus, I'm going to be writing another book pretty soon. It's going to be a diet book. And then I'm doing other projects, clothing line. I'm starting my own skincare line and shampoo line. That'll be out in about a month, called Tony Horton Care, or TH Care by Tony Horton. And clothing, cosmetics, and seminars to sort of, build my repertoire outside of just doing fitness programs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, understood. I mean, to me, it sounds like, you love completely like this kind of train the trainer or coach the coach, right? That also others do a better job and explain how are things done, right? And on the other hand, I think you could also do something regarding like the mindset, right? So not only like the food and the exercises, but also like the mindset, like what kind of mindset you have to have that you make the right decisions and that you sustainably change your life. That's also something I think.
Well, we all make decisions based on what we know. And after high school or college, a lot of us quite often think that that's all we need to know, because the educational process is over. So now I'm just going to apply that to try to get through life. And what you know becomes antiquated pretty quickly. And so my job is to help people understand that life is a constant education. It's always expanding, it's always changing, it's always new. Cars change every year, phones change every year, architecture changes every year, art changes every year, but we don't. And so we can't figure out why we're not as happy and successful and productive as we need to be. It's because we're relying on old information to try to be able to survive in a new world, an ever-changing world. So you got to change your like I was vegan for a while, then I was vegetarian for a while, and then I was kind of flexitarian for a while, and now I'm probably as close to paleo as I've ever been. Not completely, but I'm I evolved. My techniques evolved based on the fact that I'm conscious that things aren't working anymore. People will do the same damn routine on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday that in their 50s they were doing in high school, and they can't figure out why their neck hurts or their knees are jacked up or their hips are tight. It's because they're getting older, still exercising hard, but doing the same things they did 25, 30 years ago. Unless you're willing to expose yourself to yoga and Pilates and proprioceptive fitness and skill-based exercise and core and functional fitness, then I don't care how hard you train, you're still going to screw yourself up. And so that's what I try to tell people. I say if you're not evolving, you're still aging at a rate that's faster than you need to, because you're not willing to educate yourself. And so I'm always, I don't mind a challenge. I don't have to be perfect and great and strong and everything, especially if it's new. So that's why if you look at my weekly workout, it's like today's routine was different than any routine that I'd done before. I never do the same exercises all the time. I never do the same amount of reps every time. I never use the same weight all the time. More weight, more reps, less weight, less reps, all body, no body, all machine, no machine, 5 minutes on machines, 3 minutes on machines, 10 minutes on machines, no machines at all, body weight only. I mean, yoga once a week, yoga 3 times a week. That's, Indian, Mexican, Italian, paleo, flexitarian, vegan, vegetarian, raw, eat it all. Just make sure it's healthy. That's how I operate now.
Understood. And maybe a good question in regards to that. What were like the top three main aha moments of your life? Yeah, and maybe one is like you have to educate yourself constantly. Yeah, what would be others? Or maybe like also you would change this one. I don't know.
My top three greatest moments in my life? Is that what you're asking?
Like aha moments is something where you would say, hey, this is like a key learning that you made, where you realized, aha, this is how it works, and then from there on you did something differently, like key learnings in like one would be like that you what you said before, like you have to educate yourself constantly. You cannot do that what you did like 20 to 30 years ago. You have to evolve yourself. You have to grow, and you have to educate yourself and change all the time, change and do stay healthy, but change your routine and grow your routine, kind of thing, so that would be like one big.
I would say the three areas where I struggled the most, where I don't struggle anymore, is I don't have to worry about money so much anymore. I was constantly broke, constantly in debt, owing people money, all that. I just made sure that I figured out, it certainly helped that I started making more money, with this new career, or as the career started to grow, but not be stupid with my money. A lot of people, they start making money and they buy a house they can't afford and a car they can't afford, and they start buying everybody dinner and they're playing a big shot. And then, then they're right back where they were. They have, more money, more problems. And with me, I ended up with more money, less problems. And so that would be one. I think the other one too was, the more I put myself in situations where I was scared, the less scared I became. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't get nervous really that much anymore. I did a backflip out of a Chinook helicopter at 13,500 feet. I was a little bit nervous, but I had enough experiences in my life where I didn't throw up before I did it. I was on stage the other night singing. I've never sang ever, but I rehearsed the song so that I could get up in front of 20,000 people and sing. Turned out pretty good. So that's another fear that I confronted that makes me feel like, all right, that's not so bad. I fell in love with a girl that I'm going to marry in October, and I'd had a terrible relationship one after another. But then I changed the way I looked at how to be in a relationship, and it got easy. It got easy because I stopped doing the same things over and over again. I stopped going after the same kinds of women over and over again. I found somebody that was not the opposite of me because it was interesting and attractive. I found somebody that was more like me so that we could continue to do things together and share things together and laugh together. We always go after the opposite because of whatever weird upbringing we had or whatever the heck it was. I don't know. But so I would really say that I kept putting pressure on my nervous system, confronting fears, so that I wouldn't keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And I think for me, it was just recognizing what didn't work and having the courage to do the opposite of what I've been doing before, and knowing that would probably turn out okay. But it's scary because it's new and it's different. You don't really know. You can't predict the outcome. But I got, in those three areas of my life, it changed dramatically. I'm a different person because of it.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah.
And like along this journey kind of growth, what were your biggest mistakes or your biggest wastes of time and money? And maybe also, like, if you were to do it all over again, what would you do differently?
Hiring the wrong people. That had, because when you become a little successful, everybody comes out of the woodwork to tell you how you're going to make the next $1 million. And what they're doing is they're using you as a means to sort of lift themselves or create some notoriety for themselves or build something for themselves. And so, I said no a lot when I was a kid because I was afraid to say yes to opportunities that might have challenged me or exposed me or whatever it was. And so I started saying yes to everything. And so saying yes to everything forced me to spend a lot of money on lawyers where I didn't need to. And I should have just stuck to with what I know, And so just surrounding myself with the wrong people and then saying yes to too many things. There's only so many hours in a day, and if an opportunity comes along, it's got to be something you're excited and passionate about and believe in and really want to attack. And, you can't endorse everything. You can't promote everything. You can't help everybody because you're just going to get spread too thin. And the other mistake, and the one I'm still learning, is just to be more patient. Just things are not going to happen overnight, and there's going to be bumps in the road. And it's always been that way, but it continues to be that way. But you think because you have some success, it won't happen as much, but it still happens as much or more. And that can be frustrating. So you have to kind of wrap your arms around that and go, okay, that's just the way it is. Not much I can do about it. Yeah.
If you hire or know someone or work together with someone as a partner, what is important for you?
What's important is making sure that they are who they say they are, and calling around, emailing, asking, looking into their resume, and really sussing them out better. Making sure that their references are 5-star and that people are honest, and not just based on a good interview. People interview really well, but they don't hold up over time. I mean, I've been through 7 assistants, and all 7 seemed great at the beginning, but they didn't last very long because they couldn't do what they promised they could do, and not fun to retrain people over and over again. So I'm just down to my fiance and my sister because I like them and I trust them, and they have a lot more at stake than an employee. And so my fiance is my assistant, and my sister is my runs all my public speaking events, does all my promotional things, and because she's family. I mean, people think that family is the worst people to hire, but for my case, it was the best. So,
Interesting.
Just FYI, my next meeting is here, so I don't know if you have much more for me, but
no, we're like almost finished basically. Last question would be, what's your advice for people that still think about following or creating their passion, following their dreams? What would you tell them?
Well, this is so simple, and I think I learned this in a book by Keith Ellis, The Magic Lamp. It's been a lot of years, but we have jobs and we have passions, and our jobs and passions might not be the same thing. In most people's case, it's not. So you need your job because you got to pay your bills and you got to feed your face and you have to pay your rent or your mortgage, right? So let's say your job is not the greatest thing in the world and you have to provide for you and your family, but you do it anyway. I would say that if you watch a little less TV, sit on your butt a little bit less, and find those 3 or 4 hours a week for whatever your passion is. If it's stamp collecting or taking apart your mountain bike, or I don't know what it is, or hiking or climbing. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's something not, but just sort of don't ignore it completely. Too many people are too exhausted from work to be able to spend a second on their passion, and so it goes neglected. If you like to sing and you haven't sang in 20 years because you're overwhelmed and crushed by your job, then I would say, man, get on the phone, find out who a teacher is, and spend a couple hours a week just singing, because who knows, something could happen where your confidence goes up, you're at a certain place, you want to be ready, and that's what I did. I had 2 careers at once. I had my job, which was training people, and I had my passion, which was acting, and but I was working on both at the same time, and so the acting actually helped my passion, and it helped. One bled into the other. Great example is a guy who was an accountant. He worked in an office building in a cubicle, and he was good at his job, and he got pretty well, and it paid the bills and fed his family. But he was a bike nut, a bike enthusiast. And the weekends, he'd go down to the bike shop and just hang out. You know, he'd bring his kids down there, and he'd go on bike riding rides, and he'd buy new brakes and new tires and the latest and the greatest. And the assistant manager said, "Man, you know, you're in here all the time. You want a part-time job?" And so he went to his wife, and she said, "Sure." And so he worked there on Saturdays. And he would work all week because he was so excited to be able to work in this bike shop on Saturdays as just an employee. 5 years later, he owned the place.
Nice.
And so it wasn't a 1 day a week job working for somebody else. It was a guy who ended up owning the, you know, I mean, he went from employee to weekend manager to you know, full-time manager to co-owning to owning. I mean, that's how it went. And now he's got, you know, more than one bike shop, and he's the happiest guy in the world because he didn't ignore his passion. So if you got to sing, sing. If you got to dance, dance. If you love bikes, then go hang out at the bike shop and see if you can get a part-time job. I mean, and that's where your spirit stays alive, and too many people die. I had a job running around as a production assistant, but I was still training some people on the side. I was still doing my acting thing, and the training and the acting thing became one. And now here I have, you know, this brand new life. So that would be my advice for sure.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.